in this position there is no relative motion. This body is not moving with respect to this surface. Okay, so friction will not arise as there is no relative motion. Now let us tilt the surface. When the surface is tilted, now there is a tendency of a relative motion, because this body tends to move with respect to the surface. Okay, so when there is a tendency of relative motion and also when the relative motion is ongoing, in these two cases only, when there is a tendency of relative motion, as you find in this situation, this body has a tendency to move down the incline, the frictional force has arisen and it is acting on this body, because there is a tendency of relative motion. This situation is called impending relative motion. Impending means relative motion is not, it has not started, but there is a chance that relative motion will start. In this case, frictional force has appeared and it is acting in such a direction that the relative motion cannot start. Okay, then opposite, frictional force always acts in such direction that it can stop or it can prevent relative motion. Then when the surface is tilted, the relative motion starts. Okay, so in this situation also frictional force is acting and it is trying to stop the ongoing relative motion. This is called ongoing relative motion. Relative motion is ongoing. Okay, it is ongoing. Frictional force is trying to stop this ongoing relative motion. And frictional force is impending. Impending means it is about to start. See, there is no relative motion, but the relative motion is impending. In this case, frictional force has appeared and it is acting. But in this state, there is no tendency of relative motion. There is no tendency of relative motion. That's why frictional force is not acting. In the first case, there is no friction because there is no tendency of any relative motion. So in this case, force of friction equal to 0. In this case, there is no relative motion, but the relative motion is impending. So in this case, force of friction is already acting. Okay, how is it acting? I will show the free body diagram. This is the block. In which direction is friction force acting on the block? In this direction, on the block it is acting in this direction. But every force is an action-reaction pair. Every force. So on the incline, it is acting forward. Okay. So friction is trying to stop the or prevent. In this case, relative motion is not ongoing, so frictional force is trying to prevent the relative motion. Okay. In this case, the body, relative motion is ongoing. Okay. So on this body, frictional force is acting. On this body, it is acting in this direction. On this, it is acting in this direction. This force of friction is called force of static friction. Static, because this body is at rest with respect to the surface. So we will denote this FFS, force of static friction, and this will be denoted by FFK, force of kinetic friction.